Hello and welcome to program 9 of Build with Becky. This is another strength and hypertrophy month, and it is a pull focus this month. So for lower body, that will mean deadlifting and hinging, and for upper body, a variety of different pulls, including some chin-ups, some lat pull-downs, and some dumbbell rows. So to get started, I'm going to show you a warm-up that is actually kind of my go-to warm-up every time I lift, and then you can always mix and match these pieces to suit your needs, but it will include some kind of cardio of choice, some kind of self-myofascial release if that is needed, whether that's with a foam roller, a Theragun, or some other implement to release certain tense muscles and get into a deeper range of motion. And then from there, I'll remind you of dynamic mobility. And the big thing today that I'm going to show you is warm-up sets. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so for this program's warm-up, it's kind of a classic lifter's warm-up. This is what I personally do every time I go to the gym or my garage to lift. I do 5 to 10 minutes cardio of choice, just depends on what I'm feeling that day. Hop on a bike, take a walk outside, maybe a couple of jog intervals. That is just to raise my body temperature and to prime my joints for more movement. After that, you're gonna do what's called SMR, which is self-myofascial release. And this is kind of as needed. So one form of self-myofascial release is using a foam roller. Another form is a Theragun. Another form is maybe like a lacrosse ball or a tennis ball or something like that that you can use. So what is the point of self-myofascial release? It's kind of like a massage. Myofascial is working on the fascia, the connective tissue of the body, but self, so you're doing it to yourself. So for example, for me today, and what's the purpose of it? To get into a greater range of motion and do a little bit of rehab, a little bit of prep, so that your body, if you're holding on to any tension from like your previous workout or an injury or something, you're recovering a little bit. So right now, my right hamstring is kind of tight, just has been the last couple days. So I'm gonna do a little bit of foam rolling there. And with foam rolling, the big thing that I see people doing wrong is they just kind of really go to town and go really quick, and it's not terrible, but it's not very effective either. The better thing to do would be maybe add a little more pressure if you can tolerate it, and then pretty slow go through a muscle until you find a spot. Like I just found a spot that's pretty uncomfortable. So I'm actually gonna pause there and take an inhale. And especially when I exhale, I'm gonna visualize that muscle releasing. And then I might be able to inch just a little lower or a little to the side, right or left. And I'm just gonna keep doing that for that whole area that's tense, which might take a couple minutes. And this is one area where I would say you don't have to match side to side, because only my right hamstring is tight. So I don't really need to do this on my left side. Or if only my right knee is painful, then maybe I only need to do my right quad a little bit to release above the knee area. And again, if you find a spot, you might go side to side, take an inhale, exhale. There's not really like a right or wrong way to do it with your body, as long as you're feeling like you're hitting those pressure points, okay? And then if you're a little maybe uncomfortable, because honestly it is uncomfortable on a foam roller, it might feel better to do it with a Theragun. It's a little loud, but once you turn it on, you just put it wherever you have the pain, and then you just kind of let it, through the vibration, loosen up that muscle. So let's say your knee's a little painful, maybe you would do your quad a little bit. For me, maybe I would do my hamstring a little bit. And another thing to know is sometimes you don't want to do exactly where it hurts, or you could, but you might want to do around the area too. So let's say your knee is hurting, you're not gonna, first of all, never Theragun directly on a bone or a joint. So don't take your Theragun to your knee if your knee hurts. Take it to your quad, the muscle above it, your calf, the muscle below it, your hamstring, which might be pulling, and kind of then you're feeling it in your knee. Similar to when you go get a massage and you tell them like, my right neck hurts, and then they start massaging like your lower left back. It's because they know there's fascia that connects the right shoulder to the lower left hip. So sometimes you have to go to a different place to get the release where you need it. But that is optional. Another one I really like to do, I'll be right back, grabbing a little ball here, is maybe a lacrosse ball or a tennis ball under the feet. So you would want to do this in stocking feet, especially if you're a runner and you have any kind of plantar fasciitis or just kind of your feet get really tight. Doing some kind of ball work on the underside of your foot can feel really good. This can also feel great if you do like a bottle of water in the freezer so that it gets icy, okay? So that's all self-myofascial release, SMR. After that, you would do any number of dynamic mobility movements that we've done in past warm-ups. So those could be things like the 90-90, the arm circles, the cars like we did last time, the controlled articular rotations. Those are all really good for warming up and priming specific joints. I won't show you them today, but you can look back at all the other warm-ups for ideas. And then the most important thing is you're kind of all physically warm. Maybe you're starting to mentally be like, okay, I'm at the gym, I've had my pre-workout if I take it, or I've had my coffee, I'm hydrated, I'm getting in the zone. Now you really need to prime your body and really warm up your body, especially if you're getting more trained and you're starting to lift heavier. So what that looks like is doing warm-up sets before your first lower body major lift and your first upper body major lift. So let's start with the deadlift since this is a pull focus month. So you might even do this with no weight at all at first, like a PVC pipe. Maybe you're gonna hold that pipe, set your shoulders, and imagine the hips moving back horizontally. Shut the car door with the butt, and then shave the leg as you come up. And maybe you just do a few of those to kind of remind your body of the pattern. You're just priming here. Maybe you match your breath, inhaling down, exhaling up. And then once you're kind of like, okay, we're hinging, I know what we're doing, you can add a little bit of weight. I would call this your first working set when you're adding weight, and you would only want to do maybe an RPE of 3, like 30% of your 1 rep max. So I have 15s here. Just depends on your level. If you're like, oh, I kind of am using 15s, then maybe your RP3 is the PVC pipe. If you're like, I'm deadlifting 300 pounds, then this isn't even a 3 for you. So it just depends on where you're at. But for me, I would pick these up, set my shoulders up, back, and down, same motion, shut the car door with the butt, shave the legs. And I'm gonna do 8 reps here because it's a pretty low RPE, not very hard, just kind of getting my mind and body ready, priming my muscles a little more. That was 4, inhale down, exhale up. This is 6, 7, and last one, 8. Then from there, after you carefully put it down, you might need to do a little mobility as well if your hamstrings are feeling it. Maybe at this point, if you're doing option 1, you bump up to the barbell. This, I believe, is a 35-pound barbell. Most barbells are 45 pounds. I just did 30 pounds with 2 15s. So it's actually not that big of a bump. I probably even would go from a 3 RPE to maybe a 5 or a 5-6 by adding a couple of plates, maybe 10 pounds per side. So now I've bumped up to maybe 55 pounds. And also just note that your RPE, your rate of perceived exertion, can change over time. So ordinarily, I can deadlift pretty heavy. I can do most things pretty heavy. This month, I'm coming off of COVID, so things that usually would feel like a 3 RPE might feel like a 7, 8 to me. So just know that can also vary over time. But for 55 pounds, we're hoping this is gonna be about a 5. I'm just gonna try 5 reps here. So the bar is really close to the shins, mid-foot, which is further back than you think. Grabbing where the knurling is and then setting the shoulders, imagining squeezing oranges in the armpits, and then pushing into the ground to come up for that first rep. Hips coming back, shave the legs. Shut that car door with the butt. So that's 2, 3, kind of feeling the hamstrings a little more, 4, and 5. And then careful to the knee, and then bend the knee to put it down. And now I have to think back, was that about a 5? I would say that for me this month, that was actually probably at least a 6. So I actually am probably then done with my warm-up sets. Depending on the month, maybe I would need to add another plate and do another warm-up set. I would say you want to get to at least a 6, maybe even a 7 in your warm-up sets. And then from there, the next set is considered a working set. So let's do the same thing for upper body with the lat pull down. Come on over and I'll show you that. All right, so once you've warmed up your lower body, you need to also do some warm-up sets for your upper body. In day 1, the first upper body lift will be the lat pull down. So we're just going to do progressively heavier lat pull downs. So here I have 20 pounds selected. Again, that's just gonna depend on you and your level. Underhand grip, like the variation that we'll be doing. I'm gonna kind of set my shoulders, putting those shoulder blades in my back pockets, and then exhaling down. And this should feel really easy. Remember, we're only targeting an RPE of 3. And we're gonna do 8 reps, so that was 3. Inhaling up, down, 4, halfway. Really trying to feel your back here, which is easier to tune into when the weight is lower. That's 6, 7, and 8. And then from there, we're gonna bump the weight a little bit. This machine's a little finicky, so I'm gonna do my best to do this gracefully. And I'm gonna bump up to maybe 30 pounds and see how that feels. There it is, nailed it. All right, get that position again. Shoulder blades in back pockets. Now it feels a little heavier. We're gonna go for 5. That was 1, 2, really feeling the back, 3, 4, and last one, 5. And that was about a 5. So again, I'm gonna try to hold on to this so it doesn't bonk me in the head. We're gonna try 40 pounds now. And again, the weight that I'm saying is arbitrary for you. You could be 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 30 pounds, just depends. Or you might be even higher than me. You might be 30, 40, 50. Let's see how 40 pounds feels. So putting the shoulder blades in the back pockets. Now it's starting to feel close to a working set for me. Ooh, 2. Just gonna do 3 here. And then let's try one more, maybe since it was already feeling close to a working set, I'm just gonna increase by 5 pounds this time. 40, it's actually 43 pounds. There is no 45, but you could do 43, 47 on this one. Every machine's different. And then see how that feels. And that actually does feel like a working set now. So that might be the weight where I keep it for my first working set. So that is what I mean by warm-up sets, literally the same lift that you're going to do in the warm-up or in the workout, but you just start really, really low. Even if you're doing barbell variations, you might start with dumbbells or you might start with a PVC pipe or a band just to prime your nervous system, prime your body, and gently work your way up to that heavier lift.